Hello, my name is Carlos Solis. I am your All Makes brand manager, and I want to welcome you to the very first episode of APR, your Alltrux product rundown, where we bring you up to speed with what's new in all makes through Alltrux. Let's get into it. In this episode, we will be talking about slack adjusters and why they are important to your vehicle's braking system. So, the slack adjuster is responsible for adjusting the brakes using transfer of torque by convert linear motion into rotary motion of the S-cam. Okay, so the slack adjuster transmits the braking torque to the S-cam. That then facilitates the adjustment of clearance between your brake lining and the brake drum. Okay, so where can I find the slack adjuster? Well, the slack adjuster assembly is part of your wheel end. Now, one part of the slack is connected to the S-cam, while the other end of the slack adjuster is actually connected by a clevis to the push rod of your brake chamber. So now we know the technical description of a slack adjuster. We also know where it's located. But how exactly does it work? Well, let me explain that because a lot of things happen all at once. First of all, when the brakes are applied or a driver steps on the brake pedal, what ends up happening is air is forced into the brake chamber, which then forces the push rod out, rotating both your slack adjuster and your S-cam. That then expands the brake shoe up against the brake drum wall. This is what causes the truck to slow down and or stop. Okay, so let's take a quick second to talk about automatic slack adjusters versus manual slack adjusters. What's the difference, and when should you be using one or the other? Okay, so let's start off with your automatic slack adjuster. When your brake lining starts to wear, the gap between your brake lining and your brake drum will increase. Well, the automatic slack adjuster has an internal mechanism which will adjust for that wear automatically. Okay, so on to the manual slack adjuster. Well, the adjustment of slack doesn't happen automatically. You have to periodically make those adjustments to the slack adjuster to maintain peak performance and to compensate for wear on the brake lining. After 1994, there were regulations put in place that required vehicles to come standard with automatic slack adjusters. Not saying you'll never run into a manual one, but it's good to know about them and know how to identify them. So how do we provide our customer with the right slack adjuster for their application? Well, the easiest way of doing it is getting their VIN and looking it up. But what if I told you you can identify a customer's slack adjuster without their VIN, as long as they have a sample? There's 4 simple measurements, and I'm going to talk to you about those right now. So, identifying a slack adjuster without a VIN. Step 1. Let's identify the customer's slack adjuster style. So when trying to identify a customer's slack adjuster without a VIN, there's really only 5 very popular industry styles you need to look out for. Let's run through those. Meritor, Helidex, Bendix, Gunite, Cruisin. Step 2. Let's count the splines. Based on popularity, 28 splines is probably what you're going to run into the most. But there are going to be cases where you run into slack adjusters with as little as 10 splines and as many as 37. Step 3. Measuring the diameter of your S-cam opening. Do you remember where you counted the splines? Well, that's where your S-cam opening is. Usually you're going to run into about 1.5 inches in diameter, but you will run into some slack adjusters that measure at 1.25. Step 4. Measuring the distance of the center of your S-cam opening to the center of your clevis mounting hole. Now this measurement will vary from 5 inches all the way through to 7 inches and in half-inch increments. Based off of popularity, you're usually going to see anywhere between 5.5 or 6 inches in measurement. Okay, so we've ran through the 4 key measurements required to identify slack without a VIN. Once that's complete, you're going to grab your slack adjuster catalog, you're going to implement the measurements that you've taken, and you're going to identify your slack. Hand it off to your customer and wish them a great day. Whoa, all right, hold on. Let's rewind that for a second. Prior to sending your customer off and wishing them a great day, this is a great opportunity to talk to them about add-on components through the Alltrux line, such as Alltrux brake drums, Alltrux brake shoes, Alltrux wheel seals. And there you have it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for taking time out of your day to join us and learning more about Alltrux products. Please be on the lookout for more videos like this.